Welcome to Phil Phails. My name is Philip Jones, and today my guest is Mary Richardson-Perez.
Hello.
She is the founder and co-owner of Studio Satya, and we're going to work on that pronunciation during this talk. She's also a yoga teacher and a social work intern on the way to becoming an LCSW, a licensed clinical social worker. You already waved to everybody. Wave again to everybody. They live in all these cameras. Today, Phil fails at balance, right?
Yes.
We're going to fail at balance today.
Yes.
We're also going to have some fun talking about some Sanskrit. We're going to learn some Sanskrit words. I'm going to learn it, and you guys can learn it too, because if I can learn it, anybody can learn it. Yeah. We can learn the wrong way and the right way.
That'll be fun.
Because Mary knows she's, between the two of us, she's the expert in Sanskrit, although she would not call herself an expert in Sanskrit.
Never.
But between the two of us, she is the much more well-informed. Let's just call it that. More educated. So she can teach me things. We're also going to talk about trauma-informed yoga, I think, maybe a little bit.
Maybe.
We'll see if it flows out.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely about balancing the, how would you call that? What would you call that? Balancing the kind of the more difficult emotions that we experience in life, balancing those out with yoga, breath work, different strategies to balance out life's life's challenges.
Yeah. Or we could, use some of the words you used earlier with like this idea of expanding our capacity so that we are able to hold space for the more challenging moments, like the suffering, while also making more space for the joy of life or the things that allow us to feel more content or so that balance.
Yeah.
And then yoga becomes the tool.
The tool for it.
Yeah.
Because you're definitely, well, I was going to say definitely an expert. Would you call yourself an expert in yoga?
No.
Gosh. Would you call yourself an expert in anything?
No.
That means she's definitely an expert, y'all. Experts never call themselves experts.
No.
If you find someone that says like, I'm a meditation, and you'd be like, are you an expert in meditation? They would never say they are. That's how you know they are.
Or they're just honest.
They're honest. Well, because we're in a perpetual state of growth and development and of becoming.
And there's always somebody that knows more.
Right.
Especially if we're talking about Sanskrit.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what we're going to talk about, balance. Let's see here. We could start out with a Phil Phails 5 questions, although I've grown into a more freeform kind of way of navigating this first part, just because I like the informal vibe of it all.
I'm not familiar with the 5 questions, though, so I'm kind of curious.
Oh, well, I asked 5 questions about the topic, which is balance for us.
Okay. They're the same questions every time.
Do you want to do it? No, I improv them.
Oh.
But they're pretty much, they're similar, right?
Okay.
It'd be like, how do you fail at balance? No, let's do it. So you can have this experience.
Yeah.
If this works out the way I intend, and I think the way you intend, we'll have more than just this discussion. There'll be multiple discussions with Mary as she enlightens us all on yoga and whatever else is in your expertise domain. I'm really reaching for words there. My bad. We're going to learn from Mary.
Okay.
I'm going to learn, and you guys are going to learn.
We're going to learn together.
We're going to learn together.
No experts here.
Yeah, no experts.
Okay.
We're just hashing things out.
That's right.
But I'll ask you the questions then.
Okay.
5 of them. Gotta number them.
Can't.
How does someone fail at balance?
Oh, okay. I mean, I think that's simple. You lean too much to one side. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, if we're talking about this idea of navigating the challenging or suffering that's in the world, then you get consumed by that, right? And so that kind of goes back to something I mentioned in our pre-talk, where that might look like overwhelming sadness and anger. It's kind of debilitating, right?
Yeah.
And then the other side of that, I think this this has become like talked about more and more over the last however many years, but that's that idea of like toxic positivity, right? Where you don't look at the suffering. And so yeah, that's, you would fail by basically kind of leaning into one aspect or one side more, and it kind of is more consuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Balance is kind of, I think maybe failure also would entail a lack of awareness into where you are in relationship to that spectrum.
Right.
Because you might not even know
Right.
where you are. I mean, in yoga, it's easy, right? If I'm not in balance, I'm feeling gravity.
Right.
But I'm like a
Yeah.
little scared.
Uh-huh.
I'm like moving feet and trying to get them under
Yeah.
me.
Which I bet we kind of simulate that in other ways, right? It's like, because you said, I get scared. I move my feet to try to catch myself.
Right.
And I think that shows up in other ways too, right? There's fear that happens, and we try to like get back to our balance, but we may not really know like what's the cause of this, or
We might not
what's
recognize
the
it.
underlying emotion, or what's the event that led to it. We may not have that awareness. But I think one other thing I want to say about that is I think it's just part of human nature in life that we are going to kind of, one day we're a little bit over here and we're feeling a little consumed by the sadness. One day we're over here and we're like just, joyful or whatever it may be. But I think it's this idea of like kind of pendulating to where we spend a little bit more time kind of in the center. And so just like when you're doing, as you mentioned, like a standing balance posture, the goal isn't to be perfectly still. The goal is to have a little bit of like wobble, but find your sense of stability. Because if you're still, you're kind of missing out a little bit on strengthening, if we're using that example.
Yeah.
Right. When there's a little bit of wobble, like sometimes I will intentionally create instability in whatever posture we're doing, so that you can get, if we're talking about the physicality of it, you can get those muscles to like contract and then release because they're not able to fully hold it yet.
The stabilizers.
And then then they're strengthening through the process.
Yeah,
right?
we laid down on our back on the rolled up blanket, and you had us doing like the bicycle feet, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like on this teeter-totter. So that's a way in which you're inviting chaos while you're attempting to maintain balance.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think life can be like that too, right?
Yeah.
It's like if we stay in your comfort zone, you're not really kind of like expanding if we're talking about capacity, you're not expanding your capacity to hold more, right?
Right.
And so in a similar way, it's like you want a little bit of challenge or resistance, just like within the posture that we were talking about.
Yeah. I wonder if where in yoga we have gravity being an indicator and like the muscles kind of doing that thing. I wonder in matters of the heart and of emotion, if the nervous system is telling us things with regard to where we are in balance.
I think so, yes, but maybe sometimes we're not exactly in tune or aware, right? Or we kind of have fallen into a pattern in our nervous system. I mean, I could go off on that, but yeah, that's the short answer.
Yeah. Well,
I know you have 4 more questions.
It's probably hard to. Okay, I'll move on in a second, but I got that. It's probably hard to hear that intuition and that nervous system in a world where we bombard and we distract and we with food and with alcohol or drugs or with video games or with scrolling, or it seems like we're constantly saying, I'm not going to sit with my nervous system and say, what's up in there, guy?
Right. I think there's that. And then the thing that I was kind of like about to get into, is I think we also have things that have been modeled to, in various ways that we pick up on. So for instance, like in my family, it was kind of modeled that you just go, like go, 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 go,
Yeah.
right? And there's not a lot of time to sit and be present with things. And I call it like over functioning, right? You over function because that's how you process, or not even process, but like that's how you manage things.
Survive.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then that becomes like addictive to the nervous system, right? To
You've
go, go,
trained
go,
it
go,
what to
go.
expect. Yeah.
Right. And there's even a little bit of that, like kind of like adrenaline or stress response when you have a million things you got to do.
Yeah.
Right. And then when you actually slow down and start pay attention to the nervous system, it's interesting because when I first started doing that and I would slow down, my nervous system was like, oh my God, what am I forgetting? What do I need to do?
Because you
Right?
needed to be in that state of stress in order to feel normal
Right.
or at a base level.
Right.
You're almost training yourself to idle high.
Right. Exactly.
And so when you try to down idle, you're like, wait a second, this isn't the way the engine runs.
Right. And I think there's people that do the opposite, right? They're like
regular.
low.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Goodness.
Which it shows up in yoga. It's really interesting because what I first was drawn to a practice that was like that, very intense, and just move to the next posture. And probably what I needed was like restorative, right? Or yin.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then vice versa. I see students that may primarily go to restorative or yin, and they actually might need something that's kind of what we would consider like up regulating, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Question 2.
Yes.
What is yoga?
Oh gosh. Um Is this like a 5-day long podcast?
Give me the elevator pitch. Yeah. Well, no, it will be. I think we'll probably learn what yoga is over the span of our relationship with the audience. And this will be the first kind of like volley of what yoga is in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
Can you nutshell it?
Man, I don't know, because this is something that even when I'm like trying to condense it, I end up talking about it for a really long time. Like I think about teacher training when we have a short session on what is yoga, it's about an hour long.
Yeah.
So I think, it has meant different things at different points in time. It's like anything that if there's something that has been around for hundreds, thousands of years, it kind of changes based on the culture, based on, what's happening. So it's said that, there's this understanding like yoga is union or connection. And even that alone, if you look at it over time from different texts, it means different things, right? So today for me, and that's the other thing, like it can be very personal, right? So today for me, I think yoga is it is a lot of different techniques and tools that help me feel more connected to my highest self. And I think that can be defined in many different ways. For someone, highest self is directly connected to God, or consciousness, right? And then for others, it's like the best version of them, right? In any given moment. There is a spirituality aspect to it for me. But what I say like my highest self is soul or spirit, I don't really know. I don't have the answer to any of those, and I'm fine with not having the answer. So it's just connection to highest self for me. And yoga it's like the tools that can help me kind of feel more connected. It's the practice that keeps me more honest, right, about where I am in the world and who I am. And yeah. So I guess that's as concise as I can get.
That's a wonderful answer. Maybe I'll ask you that every time.
Might change.
Yeah, I hope it does. I
Uh-huh.
think I'll ask everybody that because it's like, what does love mean?
Right. Yeah.
It is, it's a huge thing, yoga.
Mhm.
and it can mean something different to everybody.
Mhm.
And each one of those definitions valid as they bring that aspect of yoga to the world.
Mhm.
I like it. I thought you'd be like, yoga is these postures. You do this downward dog. You
No.
do this other thing. You
To me,
breathe.
that is not yoga.
That's not yoga.
No.
You breathe in relationship to movement.
That I would say that is the physical practice under this massive umbrella of
That's what
yoga.
gets you to yoga.
It's one technique,
One technique.
right? That can be utilized.
Does yoga encompass mindfulness and meditation?
I mean, so historically, the techniques, whether it's breathing, like pranayama, whether it's the asana, the physical postures, and then a wide variety of other techniques, were used to then kind of prepare for some form of meditation. Right. And so today we often use this term mindfulness, I think, because there's a lot of like research behind it. It's more well known, but there's lots of different forms of meditation. Right. And so mindfulness could be considered like a specific type of meditation practice, but then it's also that term now I feel like is kind of like a way of living as well, like mindful eating, mindful walking, mindfulness in your day-to-day interactions, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it could also be um, a style thing too now.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You get your
Yeah.
mindfulness purse or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Um, Number 3, how do you succeed at balance? Or a better question might be, what kind of rituals or behaviors or routines could someone invite into their life to find balance or
Mm-hmm.
strengthen balance?
Mm-hmm. Hmm. If we're talking specifically about this idea of navigating the challenges as well as the joys of life,
Mm-hmm.
right? And being able to hold kind of equally without being overwhelmed or consumed or whatever it may be. I think it's an individual thing that we kind of have to figure out, and the first step is being aware. It's kind of like you were using the acronym RAIN,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think that that is kind of a needed process, right? So, for example, when I'm feeling anxious, if I'm able to be very aware, I know the signs. My chest will feel a little tight.
Uh-huh.
My breath might feel short or just kind of constricted. I feel this is hard to describe, but I feel like there's energy in my arms and legs that needs to be moved,
Uh-huh.
right? So these are things that I can kind of pick up on, right? And so then what I would need to do is find some way to kind of like move that energy. So for me, sometimes it's this. It's like shaking out my arms, shaking out my legs. And then for the breath, I'll lay on a pillow, like basically a heart opener to feel more expansiveness and stretch and take really big breaths to try to stretch out the rib cage. And then it moves it somatically so that then when I start to take my awareness back, it's like, okay, it's kind of dissolved a little, that the somatic experience of anxiety, right? And then I might be able to be present with what is underneath that, whether it's a feeling about something or something that happened in my day, right? And so I can kind of sit with that without being, I don't know, consumed by the other aspects of the
Mm-hmm.
experience. So wait, what was the original question? How do you fail?
Well, yeah, it was really what that was the first question, was how you fail. This one is really what kind of rituals, behaviors, routines can you invite in your life to nurture, strengthen,
Hmm.
balance?
Okay. Yeah. So then I
The
think,
first one was awareness, is what I heard.
right.
Awareness of like, what are the precursors or what is the signals that my body gives me to know that I'm in need of balancing?
Right. Yeah. And then after the awareness is having, it's almost like a toolbox, right? That you can kind of pull from, having the tools you need
Yeah,
to,
shaking your
right.
body.
Yeah. And that may look different from person to person. Like some people love running. And I think it's a similar thing for me is the shaking. They're moving their bodies in a way that kind of releases that energy.
You got to
Right.
find your own unique toolkit, but
Right.
the
But the awareness has to happen
the
first.
awareness, so strengthening awareness.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's like
Yeah.
knowing what's going on in your body when you're out of balance.
Mm-hmm.
So then how do you strengthen awareness?
Practice, you
Practice.
know? So taking time to be able to kind of drop in and notice what's showing up. And it's so, it's similar to like the practice of yoga where you can do the same posture every single day and it's going to feel differently based on what you ate in the morning, your car ride, if you're going to a public class, your car ride over, the stresses that are happening, like it's going to impact like how you experience that posture, right? Everything.
Yeah.
And so in a similar way, if we're trying to strengthen our awareness of what's happening internally, we need to do it consistently so we can start to recognize like, oh, I can feel the anxiousness here today. And then there's also maybe more information as to why, right? So I think the practicing again and again and again allows us to have a fine-tuned awareness,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I think of a body scan.
Mm-hmm.
Like as you were talking, it was almost an invitation for me to say, well, how am I feeling right now with Mary
Right.
sitting in this chair? Where in my body do I feel tense, or where in my body
Mm-hmm.
do I feel relaxed? How am I breathing? And I like actually thoughtfully breathe. I was like, okay, let me take a
Mm-hmm.
couple of mindful breaths, which is just focused on that breath. It seems like those are some tools
Mm-hmm.
that are, I don't know, the words that come up are like Peter Levine or Basil Vanderkopf, this like kind of body keeps the score, like
Right.
go to that body and say, what's happening in here?
Mm-hmm.
Because your mind is great for a lot of things, but it's probably not going to give you the answer here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think what happens over time is then it's easier to drop into that kind of awareness,
Yeah.
And then and then what happens after that is then it's easier to bring in whatever it is you need to feel a little bit more like settled or grounded or whatever it
The
is, right?
prescription,
Right,
which is
exactly.
unique to the person, the context of the human.
Yes. Mhm.
It could be yoga, it could be
Mhm.
running, it could
Mhm.
be, but we know things that we think it's going to be good. Like our society gives us a lot of things that we run to soothe the nervous system that I don't think end up being great for us.
Like what?
Drinking alcohol
Oh. Okay, yeah. Wait. Where
or,
did you say that
or
the
eating,
society says?
well, just
Mm.
they're prevalent.
Uh-huh. Yes,
And they
yeah.
seem to
Okay.
be, yeah, I might not have said that correctly, but they're
Yeah,
just
yeah.
prevalent. There seems to be cultural acceptance of them,
Mhm. Yes. Yeah.
even maybe celebration of them.
Mhm.
The stressed out mom who's got the shirt on that says like wine for the win day. And it's like, and
Right.
you're not acknowledging, hey, you're probably really stressed out.
Right.
And your coping strategy right now is something that's going to impact your sleep in a
Mhm.
negative way because alcohol is a sedative. It's not
Right.
actually help you sleep, and it gives you less healthy sleep. And that's just going to be a downward spiral for your emotions the next
Mhm.
day.
Yeah.
But we don't really talk about a lot of those things. And so
Mhm.
we've normalized certain coping strategies that I think aren't in our best interest as a human.
Mhm.
Alcohol being one of them, food,
Mhm.
oftentimes sugar and stuff like
Mhm.
that, and definitely social media and the doom scroll.
Mhm.
I've found myself on there too long.
Right.
So there's some like I need to get a word bank of
Mhm.
positive coping strategies
Mhm.
and some kind of resilience or resistance to the ones that aren't, but I
Mhm.
think are.
Mhm.
I mean, how many times has a donut made me feel better? You know?
Uh-huh.
Or just
Uh,
uh, a grilled cheese sandwich or like a sugary treat.
right. Right. Mhm. And I think there's also some things that we kind of know that are helpful, right? Through research or even just through practice. And And for some reason those things are just not like wildly practiced or accepted, you know.
Yeah, maybe they're
Mhm.
getting more.
I
I
hope.
want to step into a world where they're becoming more accepted,
Right. Mhm.
where there's just as many breathe t-shirts as they are wine
Uh-huh.
t-shirts.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not anti-wine anybody. Like,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I guess the intention,
Right.
like what brings you to it.
Yeah. Mhm.
All right, that was some rituals, which were awareness, strengthening awareness, somatic, like what's going on in your body,
Mhm.
investigating, and then the other one was come up with some strategies to neutralize or to bring yourself into balance. And it seems like
Mhm.
most of them are movement.
Movement, I think, I think sometimes when like we're upregulated, like
Uh-huh.
our system, like what I described, like, feeling that weird kind of like energy in my arms and legs, feeling the constriction in my chest. I think movement's great for things like that. It kind of like moves that type of energy. But what you just did earlier, like the deep breath,
Uh-huh.
right? I think breathing, of course, and that breathing has been researched quite a bit. Meditation, and there's different forms of meditation,
Yep.
right? And so and even that can be prescriptive, right? Because for some people, the more like mindfulness type meditation practices where they're kind of witnessing the thoughts that are surfacing, or they're or there's like, breath based practices may not be as effective as, like, say, like the metta meditation where someone's focusing on
Loving kindness.
loving kindness, right? Or there's imagery of like going to your safe place, which I find that one really helpful when the nervous system is
Yeah.
dysregulated.
Visualization. Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, I think all of those are kind of rituals and tools, but they can be chosen based on what feels more beneficial.
Yeah.
And even like what is easier in the beginning, right? Because um, I remember when doing teacher training, like the teachers that were soon to be teachers would talk about how the breathing techniques would actually make them anxious, because that was the first time they were controlling their breath, and so holding the breath out would create a little bit of anxiety, and then so that's like counterproductive,
Right.
right? And so in the beginning things may be effective, that later on shift or change, and so for them it's like, well, don't hold the breath, just focus on taking a longer inhale and exhale, right? And then maybe later on you add some like pauses. And so that goes back to awareness. Because you got to know, as
Yeah.
as in different phases of life and different, things need to shift and change.
Is this still working for me?
Right.
Is this when you try something, there's got to be that like follow up of or retrospective of did that work for me?
Right.
How did that
Mm-hmm.
impact my nervous system? How did that impact my current state?
Mm-hmm.
And then so it starts with that awareness. You got to have that strong awareness to then
Mm-hmm.
check back in to know whether it goes into that healthy routine category.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like it. Fourth question is let's see. Yoga. Balance. Yoga balance. What do you think a good question is? What question would you ask yourself right now? I'm thinking one too, but if you come up with it first.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
Why not?
Yeah.
You're like, no.
No.
Well, okay, well, the good question would be, man, what kind of things happen when you're out of balance?
Oh, okay. Let's see.
You're like popping off at the grocery store, all right? This like grocery register person just
Uh-huh.
trying to sell you some baguette, and,
Wait, what?
a baguette,
Oh.
some bread, some milk, whatever you're buying. I don't know what you
Yeah.
buy.
Uh-huh.
Staples.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they're getting a
A little sass.
little sassafras.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How's that happen?
Hmm. Yeah. So I think so we were talking in our pre-talk about how just to give you like a personal example, when I started working at the shelter and I started to you know expand my awareness of the suffering that was happening in the world and hearing stories, right? I would feel really sad, like overwhelmingly sad, right? And I noticed it kind of impacting like watching my kids and not feeling the same level of joy. And there's also some like secondary trauma that's happening because as I'm watching them play, sometimes I would, think about like what's happening to the kids.
In other places in the world.
Right. And I
Yeah.
would even see that happening kind of in front of me sometimes, right? And so that would diminish my ability to feel, joyful or happy in those moments, like even when the kids are laughing, right? And then going back to what I said earlier, well, then I'm trying to move through my day and get through the world and do all the things. And I remember going to my son's OT appointment and I couldn't pay online for some reason. And you have to wait outside the office. They don't let you in. They'll come get the kid and take them in. So I called ahead of time to say, hey, can I come inside to pay you? I'm having trouble online. I only have Apple Pay. I don't have my card right now. And they're like, sure. So I rearrange plans. I get there early so I can take the 10 minutes to go inside. And then the lady's like, oh, we don't have Apple Pay. And in that moment, I got so angry. It's like, I rearranged my day. I'm here 10 minutes early.
You went Karen. You turned into a Karen.
It was like, I was like, I called earlier. I asked, and the person's like, well, you didn't say Apple Pay. You said, can I pay in person? I was like, fine. And I walked out, right?
You
and then,
find them?
Yes, I did. And then I got into the parking lot and I was like, wow, that was not about them.
You just did that, Mary.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so then I sat in my car and I took a few moments to feel, it's like, I'm feeling really angry right now. And it's not about them. Like, what is it about, And I, of course, quickly realized it's like, well, I'm angry at the world,
The world.
Yeah, and I'm not in balance. Like I'm holding on to a lot of the sadness and the suffering, and I haven't allowed myself to feel like the joy of my kids laughing, right? And so I was angry and
sad.
and sad, really sad. Yeah, truly sad. And the anger was
Just a crust.
right.
A protective emotion on top of a deep sadness.
Yeah. And so I think that when we're not in balance, that's what it looks like, And then going back to this idea of like yoga and connection, that's not my highest self. That's not my best version of me, right? And so I think then kind of going back to the tools that help me to feel in like more familiar, like modern terms, like to help me feel more regulated.
Yeah.
Right. Or in other terms, it's like to feel more centered. Because if I was centered and kind of feeling more grounded when I had walked into that, I'd been like, oh, okay, no big deal.
Yeah, acceptance. Quick to acceptance.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going to anger your way into them taking Apple Pay.
Right.
Well, I did all these things. Okay, well, we'll take Apple Pay now.
Yeah.
That was psych.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. I've thought of the meditation you discussed earlier where you sit and a thought will come up and you'll kind of go into it and then notice you're in this thought and then kind of extract yourself and go back to the deep void of meditation before the next cloud comes in and you go straight into it. And I think about that in relationship to the trials and tribulations of the world, especially now.
Yeah.
I can wake up 5 minutes into a rant.
What do you mean?
Like I will have talked about how capitalism is ruining every aspect of the human experience, from the medical industry to therapy to education and to definitely food supply, like how we're managing and providing food for people. And I will have ranted and just be on some autopilot hate rant about the world and society and all that, and kind of wake up in it and be like, whoa, I'm angry.
Yes.
I'm sad.
Oh, I see what you mean now. Yes.
I'm angry. I'm sad at what feels like a disconnection between, I don't know, healthy living and life and people and all that. And why can't I get connected and all that? And it comes across as this, I'm ranting. I imagine a lot of people are doing that now.
Yes. Yes.
They wake up and it's like, I've been
Mhm.
ranting for 4 months now.
Right.
What
Mhm.
happened to my humanity and a
Mhm.
world where there is all of those things? I just need to balance life out,
Mhm.
which is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Life is all of those things and it's all of the other things. It is community, it is
Mhm.
connection, it is empathy, it is compassion, it is,
Mhm.
helping someone without any expectation. It is um a deep breath.
Mhm.
Um so I don't know. I don't know where I was going there.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that, we're all here for different reasons, and we're all here to do whatever it is that, we feel passionate about. And I think that we can't do that if we are, consumed by the sadness or consumed by
Right.
anger.
Right.
And so I think especially right now when we're talking about, the rant, right? It's like, well, if we do want to do something about any of these things, then we better well be like pretty sourced and grounded because it's a long process, right?
Right.
And so,
So you could channel that into advocacy. You
right.
could channel that into some healthy places,
Mhm.
but you're probably going to need to balance yourself because it's a long journey
Right. Mhm.
in other areas.
Or whatever it is. Like maybe it's not advocacy work, maybe it's parenting.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah. Maybe
you
it's
know?
raising. Yeah. Well, that definitely will impact the future.
Right.
I believe
Mhm.
the children are our future.
Mhm.
Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense
Uh-huh.
of pride.
Of pride. To make it easier?
Easier.
Yeah. Mhm.
I'm starting to get fuzzy with it
Right there,
at
yeah.
that point.
Uh-huh.
What do you think your purpose is? What do you think you're here to do?
Ah,
Do you have a
I don't know.
do
I
you probably get
mean,
glimpses of it every now and again?
yeah, yeah, I do. Um, to raise more emotionally mature and aware men, because I have
Uh-huh.
2 boys.
There it is.
Yep.
You can raise a
Um,
third one if you want.
uh-huh. No, thanks.
This one.
The adult men, I'm done raising.
Oh my God. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Oh,
Um,
we still need you.
yeah. I think also, I don't know. Yeah, I know what it is, but I don't know how to put it into words, right? But I think that, hmm, I feel like I've had many lifetimes in my one life, right? And
Oh, in this life.
in this life, like 9 lives, right? In
Okay,
this
in this
life.
life.
And I feel like I have been been lucky to have tools to I think I said like up level,
Uh-huh.
earlier.
Yeah.
Um
Continue to evolve and to, hold the more that life has given you. Right.
like for example, I'm surprised that I lived past 20 whatever. Like what is that goal that like number 27,
Yeah.
right?
When all the rock
Um
stars die.
right, right, not that I was a rock star,
Jimi
but I
Hendrix,
tried to
Janis
live like
Joplin,
one.
yeah.
you
Kurt
know?
Cobain, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so it's like, wow, I actually made it past 27. Also, I'm a pretty I don't know, I'm a functioning adult. I have children and they're doing okay and I
Yeah.
have a house. Not that that means anything, but I just never expected any of that
Yeah.
for myself, right? Especially like my childhood was pretty rough for a while, right?
Skip to that life
Um
story and hear this wild no, just kidding. Yeah, so it sounds like this is all unexpected. You've been able
Yeah.
to move through, survive, and then come into a thrive stage of life.
Maybe,
Maybe,
hopefully,
maybe.
yeah. But anyways, I think that like part of my purpose
Maybe.
is like I don't know, sharing just the joys and being supportive of people going through the challenging aspects in a way where hopefully on the other side we come out a little better, maybe thriving, I don't know.
Yeah.
But whether that's through like teaching yoga and helping people with like specific tools, or like working at the shelter, I think I have a good ability to kind of hold space for people no matter what they've experienced. And maybe that goes back to the fact that like, growing up, I experienced a lot. And so I can kind of hold space for those that are also experiencing some trauma, right?
Yeah.
So the purpose is somewhere in there,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
I like it. You
Yeah.
guys heard all that. Y'all synthesize what Mary said and share her purpose in the comments.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Well,
Yeah.
ask them. They'll do
Yeah.
it. You guys, look at them. They're in there.
And there.
You can synthesize.
Mm-hmm.
It's in there.
Mm-hmm.
A little puzzle. Question 5. Man, I really like laughing with you. I like this. This is fun being with you. Is there a religion or is there a religion that underpins your practice?
A religion.
I think yoga was developed in the Hindu religion. No?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then it also there's like Buddhism has really taken it on, and now it's almost not, it's like secular with John Kabat-Zinn, or no, he does the meditation, but it seems like it's real secular in America.
Right.
But I guess I just wonder if there's and you can pass on any of these questions. You don't have to answer any of them, but I'm just curious.
Not for me.
Okay.
No, at one point there was, like I was very much into studying the Bhagavad Gita.
That's Hindu?
So Hindu is kind of that's a tricky term. For
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know. It's tricky.
So and so we'd have to kind of get into like a history lesson to explore that, which I don't want to today.
We're not going to do that today.
Yeah.
Look out for part 2 of this next session, where we learn Hinduism.
Nope.
Hard pass.
Yeah. So,
but you were studying the Bible.
So at one point, right. But now I think I wouldn't consider myself religious. I would consider myself spiritual.
Right.
Right. And so, my kids ask me this all the time because they say, which God is the right God is the question I get. Right.
That's a good 5th question. Dang.
Right. And so like, if they were to ask my mom would say the Christian God. Right. Yeah. That's the God. And so they always say, well, Mom, what do you think? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't have the answer. I think that all I can do is drop into what feels right in this moment, or intuitively. Yeah. I don't say all those words to my like 7-year-old. I basically say, I think they're all right. I think, and in fact, like if we look at the different texts, there's some similarity in what Buddha says and what Jesus says. A lot of similarity. Right. And so I think, like all of these people that have all of these things to say, they're coming from the same source, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe when I die, I'll know, or maybe not. Maybe I'll be bumped into the next lifetime and I won't know then either.
You believe in reincarnation?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
A lot of the time. Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
You think it's like an animal or another human, or it could be anything? Like, does it look a certain way for you?
No. Yeah. Honestly, it's like sometimes I have like made eye contact with my pet and I'm like, oh.
You're my grandmother, my great grandmother.
I'm like, you've been here before.
Oh man.
Yeah. And other times I'm like, I don't know. Does it make sense that you could come back as an animal, or that you were an animal before? I don't know. Who am I to know these things? I don't know. So yeah, I just think that there is some source. I don't know what it is. I know when I feel more connected to it,
Yeah.
and I know when I don't.
Yes.
Right?
And you probably feel better when you feel connected to it and a little
Right.
bit less when you're not.
Right. And then I also know that, what all of these people, children of whoever, the source,
Yeah.
like Buddha and Jesus, like
Yeah.
when they say something that really feels like truth, and it's like, well, how can they be saying the same thing and it feels so true, right? But yet only one has the right answer or the right God. That doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, spiritual but not religious, and religion to me just doesn't feel right
Right.
because it's almost like negating some aspect of the truth.
Yeah. I like it. And have you, I hate to use the word synthesize again. I just used it recently, but have you synthesized the positive from a bunch of your studies to bring about your own
Yes.
version of spirituality that takes from all of these and says, like, I'm just going to take the good and leave the bad and develop my own kind of, and maybe it's not even codified. It's just swirling around in there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I don't know if I have a longer answer for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's 5 questions.
Oh, okay. And they're different every time.
Yeah.
Close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they might be. Some of them are like, how do you fail and how do you succeed are there most times, every time. And then the other ones, I like knowing rituals for whatever. If people have like a morning routine that gets them to a state of intuition or
Ooh,
whatever the
that's a
fail
good
is,
one.
like, how do you get to that fail? How did you get there? Like, they're similar. I'm going to move this down a little bit, but we're done with that section. And in this section, I normally do. I notice you're looking over at me, so your face is this way more. I'm not going to push you closer. I promise you I won't. Is that closer?
No, that's okay.
Just because you're looking at me, which is great. But I just want the mic to be there. I want people to hear you clearly. That laugh, I want to catch that in all its fidelity. Because it'll be uplifting to all these people.
That's funny. I remember somebody once told me my laugh is very loud. And so that's just kind of what stuck.
What does it even mean? It's like a volume thing? What, do they got a dB meter over there? Like, oh, I think it hit 4.5 on the dB meter, Mary. That's like
Right.
I think it's kind of under like a low key mean too.
Right. I know. I was like, I'm not sure how to.
Were they trying to meditate at the time and you're just laughing?
I have no idea.
I wouldn't take that one in. I would take other ones.
Okay.
I've given you a handful of them now.
Yes.
Take those in.
Okay.
Forget the loud one. That's garbage. Feedback. Garbage. Yeah.
So
okay.
What is part 2?
Well, normally during this section, we play improv games. But what we're going to do is we're going to...
Oh my God, I should have researched this more.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Tell me why.
Improv? Well, also you've been asking me for words, and if I knew that was a thing, I probably would have thought of some words ahead of time.
You would have thought of words ahead. You can't do that. This is a present moment experience.
Oh, okay.
People have asked me to like work together to like talk about what we're going to talk about. I'm like, nah, I don't really do that.
Okay.
It's like be here now.
All right.
This is a mindful practice.
Okay. I'm ready.
If the word doesn't come, then we don't get that word from you, Mary.
Okay.
But we're not going to play improv games because we're going to improv sharing some information about studio. And now I get low key anxiety every time I say this word, but it's Studio Satya.
Yeah, great.
I did it?
Yep.
Studio Satya. It is a yoga studio here in Austin, Texas that Mary is a co-owner of and a yoga teacher there.
Yes.
And we're going to do a little not commercial, but like we're going to talk about it.
Okay.
I want people to know about it.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I'm working with Mary and Holly and Carly. I hope they're not in any particular order.
No.
Carly, Mary, Holly. I feel like I got to say them in all the orders. But I'm working with them on my journey of better understanding yoga and having a better practice with yoga in my own kind of pathway to my optimal self. And so I'm going to be talking to them, all of them probably in that seat. And today, Mary's in that seat. Let's talk about Studio Satya.
Okay.
What does Satya mean?
Truth.
Satya means truth.
Truthfulness. Yeah. Yeah. And that name came about, well, one, there was a little bit of drama in the yoga world in Austin when a really well-known studio closed, Yoga. There were multiple locations, and all three of us taught there at different locations, and I taught there for many years, and it didn't end well, and so there was yeah, some financial stuff I think that was going on with the owner. I'm not going to get into all the drama, but it did not end well. And yeah, and lots of people were kind of impacted. Teachers, of course, students that have been going for a very long time. And there was some misinformation, some lies,
Fake
and
news.
well, no, it was actually from the owner himself,
Oh, goodness.
as he was like trying to keep it going. Although I don't know if he was actually trying to keep it going, but so I think there was some embezzlement there. And so after that, everybody was like, "What? I can't believe this place that supported so many people on their yoga journey and healing and whatever yoga meant to them, like for so many years,
Yeah.
ended in that way, right? It was sad. And so when I was thinking, as it was coming to an end, I kind of knew that I wanted to open up a studio. And I thought, what do I want the studio to be about? And the first thing that came to my mind was truth, like it really being what yoga is meant to be, right? Which was, not how the previous kind of studio ended. And so that word came to my mind because of, what had recently happened, but then also because I wanted a space where all of the like traditions of yoga were still present. And so that means a practice that is really emphasizing like meditation, and where there's actual learning in regards to like the history of yoga or the texts, where there's chanting and mantra, which is kind of hard to find, right? So that's all part of the name.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it opened in 2019 and was open for 4 months, and then the pandemic hit.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
Studio Satya is located in North Austin on Anderson Lane.
Yes.
What's the address?
1308 Anderson Lane.
1308 Anderson Lane. And you can go there physically to take classes.
Yep.
But you can also visit virtually. You can
Right.
do online classes at Studio Satya. You can do on demand.
Yes.
Is there on demand classes as well?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't
That's
have to
all
be,
thanks to the pandemic.
yeah, you don't have to be
in
in Austin
yeah. You can
to
be anywhere.
participate.
Mhm.
And the things that Studio Satya every time I'm going to get
You're
there.
doing
I'm
it,
get
so
there.
just let it
Doing
go. You're doing it. Yeah.
The things y'all focus on are yoga, meditation. It sounded like some chanting and mantra.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What else? Like, what makes you guys unique? You just kind of said a little bit. Community.
Yeah. So that was another aspect of this idea of like truthfulness, is that we can find truth and like our connection to highest self through community, right? When you're feeling supported and heard and all the things. And so community is a big piece of the studio's like mission and what we focus on. So there's like book clubs and potlucks. We used to do a regular like yoga for good class where we would highlight an organization that's doing good in the community, and all the funds would go to that, and that was free. So yeah, things that focus on building community and then really just kind of pulling in all the different like techniques and tools of yoga, breathing,
yeah.
chanting, moving. Yeah.
Sangha.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yeah.
That's the word?
Mm-hmm.
Part of this sharing of Studio Satya is we're going to have fun with Sanskrit words now.
Uh-oh. Okay.
We're going to try to have fun with Sanskrit words.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys are like me. If you've been to yoga and all of a sudden the yoga teacher or instructor starts like saying some weird kind of Klingon language, that's Sanskrit, probably, right?
Maybe not.
Maybe not. They'll be like, we go into chair pose and they like saying something and I'm like,
yes,
okay, that
yeah.
just means chair pose. And I'm like, I don't even know.
Right.
Or downward dog or these other ones. There's this like other string of syllables and stuff
Yes.
that mean that for them. And I'm always just like confused during that part.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all gonna demystify some of those strange utterances.
Mm-hmm.
Can we do that?
Sure.
Heck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited.
Okay.
Which is the most prevalent? What would you say?
Oh gosh.
Your smile. Which are the 5 most prevalent Sanskrit words in yoga, do you think? Which ones do you say?
5
Well,
most
you get or 10, I don't care. The numbers are arbitrary. Which ones do you use the most in yoga?
Okay, let's see. Well, the 5 that I use are probably not the most common. I don't use a whole lot of Sanskrit when I'm talking about the postures.
Okay.
And so that might be more common in other classes where they're using the names of the postures. So like you said, chair pose, and they may say chair and then Utkatasana, right?
Utkatasana.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Did I say it right? Utkatasana
Yes.
is chair pose.
It's actually fierce pose. But yeah, I think we refer to it as chair because it's.
Well, sitting down without a chair is a fierce posture.
Yes, there you go.
Because there's not a chair there, y'all.
No.
Not a chair there anywhere to be found. But you're pretending you're in a chair.
Right.
And that's some fierceness right there.
Yeah.
Utkatasana.
Yeah.
Utkatasana.
Mm-hmm.
Chair pose.
Yeah. So I think that's probably most common is like hearing the asana names, right? Okay, that's a word, asana, right?
Asana. That's a Sanskrit word.
Yeah.
Asana
so it means like
means
posture.
Posture.
Yeah.
Asana.
And that one's often mispronounced as asana.
Asana.
Yeah.
Like what the Dutch people go into
Right.
during the wintertime to warm up their body. But it's not. It's asana.
Right.
Asana.
Yes.
It means posture.
Right.
Utkatasana means chair pose.
Fierce pose.
Fierce pose. It means fear pose.
Right, yeah.
Fierce pose.
Yeah, but
Utkatasana.
yes. It is the chair pose.
It is the chair pose, but it doesn't mean chair pose. It means fierce pose.
Or something like that.
Utkatasana, fierce pose, aka chair pose. Asana, posture.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Another one that I might use. I often say the pranayama practice samavritti. And so sama's, like same or
Samavritti.
equal. Uh-huh.
You put a little roll on it. Vritti.
Uh-huh.
Samavritti. Did that do right?
Yeah.
Say it again.
Samavritti.
Samavritti. What's that mean?
So sometimes vritti is translated as like a fluctuation. So for instance, in the Yoga Sutras, it says like chitta vritti, and it's referring chitta's mind. And so it's like the activity of the mind, the fluctuations, the thoughts, right?
Okay.
So here it's referring to the breathing technique of equal breath. And so you can imagine like the inhale and the exhale. I visualize like the undulation of the breath, it being equal or same.
Okay.
So it's as if you just inhale to like a 4 count and you exhale
to a 4 count.
Right.
And that's samavritti.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And the other one was chitta vritti?
Yeah, and so that's the mind's
mind
fluctuations or the activity, right? Thoughts, yeah.
Samavritti is the balancing the breath,
right?
The fluctuations of the breath being equal.
Yeah.
Samavritti. Okay, go back to the beginning. We got Utkatasana, fierce pose. Asana, posture.
Yeah.
Samavritti is the fluctuations of the breath, breathing.
Yeah.
And you said another one that I think is a Sanskrit word, pranayama.
Yes.
Did I say that right? Pranayama?
So you remember earlier when I was saying how there are these words that I've heard for decades, right? Or 2 decades, however long, that are mispronounced often. And then I have to kind of go back and like actually look at the letters in Sanskrit to see how to pronounce it. So that's one of them. In my mind, the 2 vowels are long, like pranayama. But I don't think that's right. So I'd actually have to look at the actual
word.
Yeah, in Sanskrit to then know how to pronounce it.
Can we look it up?
You can, yeah.
Okay. While I do that, think of your next word to teach me.
Okay.
How would I
So
spell
one
this?
that is commonly mispronounced is well, let me see how you say it. What is the word for the verses that you may repeat over and over again, like chant? What is the word for that?
Like a mantra?
There you go, mantra. So that A is actually short, so it's mun instead of mon. So mantra instead of mantra.
Okay. There's just a bunch of lines and weird stuff there. I don't even know. It seemed like
Yeah, so that's what
Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, so you see the line over the A?
Uh-huh.
That means it's long, so
Okay.
ah rather than
Okay, so
Yep. Prana
prana
yama,
yama.
right? So earlier I
Prana
mispronounced it because
yama.
I said pranayama,
Yeah.
right?
Prana yama.
So it's supposed to be pranayama,
Prana yama.
pranayama,
Prana yama.
pranayama.
Pranayama.
Yes.
And that means breath. Does that mean breath?
No, it's if you hear it in a yoga class, it's referring to a breathing practice.
It's a breathing practice.
Yes, yeah.
Pranayama.
That's not the literal translation, but yes.
Yeah,
it's
breathing
like a
practice.
breathing practice.
Utkatasana, fierce pose.
Uh-huh.
Asana, posture. Oh man. Vritti. Samavritti.
Mhm.
That one almost sounds like kind of Transylvanian, Vritti. Or Russian.
Yeah.
Samavritti.
You don't have to roll as much, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just like having fun with it.
You are, and that's fine. Yeah.
Samavritti.
Yeah.
Is the fluctuations of the breath and then being in balance.
Same breath, yeah.
And then
Equal.
pranayama is a breath practice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's 4. And you were talking about the 5th, but I wasn't listening because I was looking on my phone.
Oh, yeah.
They were listening.
Yeah. So it is.
Bring me up to speed.
It is the word. So you pronounce it mantra, right?
Oh, mantra.
Yeah. But the A is short, so it's mantra.
Mantra.
Mm-hmm.
Mantra.
Yeah.
Mantra.
Yeah.
And that's like a chant that we would do.
Mm-hmm.
Mantra.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Give us some poses. These people might hear when they're doing yoga at their studio. They hear Utkatasana. I've heard that one.
Yes.
Fierce pose.
Yes.
Utkatasana. And I've heard asana.
Uh-huh.
And pranayama.
Mm-hmm.
What's another what's another pose that's Sanskriti?
Okay, let's see. One that you will hear often, I guess. I don't know what's out there these days.
Yeah.
I don't take classes outside. It's downward facing dog.
That's a classic.
Yeah.
That's our home base
Yeah.
in yoga.
And this is another one that is mispronounced often. And so in my head, I don't think I have it correctly stored.
Yeah.
So you might have to look it up on your phone.
Do I look up downward facing dog? Is that how do you pronounce it?
I think it's ado, but it could be short A, which is ado. And then it's Mukha Svanasana. I know I picked that one specially for you because the last one is always fun for people.
Here, I got a little picture of it.
Okay.
The name, the pronunciation, and the meaning. There it is. Picture of it.
Okay. Yeah, so it is a short.
Mary, for all you guys to know now, she's reading Sanskrit. She's not an expert, y'all, but she is an expert.
I am not at all.
She's reading it.
I can read a few asana names at this point.
Okay.
I've lost all my skills.
She's lost all of her skills.
All of them. So it is a short A, so it's ado.
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 Adoa.
No.
Ado.
Okay, hold on.
Ado.
Yes.
A deer, a female deer, a ray, a drop of golden sun.
Adoa?
Ado.
Ado. Mukha.
Mukha.
Svanasana.
Svanasana.
Yeah, that was good.
Ado.
Ado.
Ado. Mukha. Svanasana.
No. Svanasana.
Svanasana.
Yeah. It might help you if you look at the lines.
Oh my goodness, those lines are okay.
So you see how the line over the A, that's ah. And then the little
Are you looking at the letters? Or are you looking at the? Oh my goodness, you're in the
both.
wrong place. What the heck? I'm sorry. Get out of there. Okay. Oh my goodness. I don't know how you get to Udo from that. There's U with the line over it. RDHVA.
Wait, you're on a different one. That's Urdhva. That's a different posture. Where are you now?
Oh, it's this one right here.
Yeah, you're on a different posture.
Isn't that
That's upward facing.
Oh, my bad. Udo.
Downward.
Okay, you're right. My bad. I got to go downward. Here's downward.
There you go.
Udo.
Uh-huh.
Mukha.
Uh-huh.
Shvasana.
Shwan.
Shvan. Shvan asana.
Asana.
Shvan. Because you got asana in there. Posture.
Right.
Right? So
right.
Udo.
Udo.
Udo. Udo. Udo.
Okay.
Udo. Mukha.
Uh-huh. Shwanasana.
Swanasana.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Swanasana. Svanasana. Shvan. Shvanasana. No. Look at that face. I'm gonna get there. Just
yeah.
Utkatasana, okay?
Yeah, you got it.
Fierce pose.
Mm-hmm.
Asana, posture.
Yeah.
Pranayama.
Pranayama.
Pranayama is the breath practice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Mita. No, not Mita. That was the brain one. That was the fluctuations of the brain.
Oh, I know where you're going.
Vritti. Samavritti is the balancing of the breath, making them equal.
Okay.
And then we did mutra.
No, we didn't, but that's a good one.
You mantra. You said mutra.
Mantra.
Mudra. This might take. Okay, this might take a bit, but mantra.
You're doing great.
Mantra. Ado. Mukha. Udo.
See?
Udo.
I didn't correct you and you did it on your own. Mm-hmm.
Svanasana.
So that S, think of it as like shh. So
Shvan.
Yes.
This isn't something we say in English. We never shvan. Shvanasana. This is gonna happen.
Yeah.
I'm stretched outside of my comfort zone here, and that's what you guys tune in for. Y'all tune in for that. Me failing at Sanskrit. Udo, Mukha, Shvanasana.
Woohoo!
It's like a skateboard trick. I'm like trying to do an ollie.
Uh-huh.
And I might do it.
Uh-huh.
Like I'm like rolling up to it. I'm like, Udo, Mukha, Shvanasana.
Yeah.
Shavanasana.
No.
You
did it right the first
Sometimes
time.
I get the trick. Sometimes I don't get the trick, you know?
Okay, right?
Shvanasana.
And then one day you just keep getting the trick. You just keep
getting it right.
Yeah. It's like over and over and over.
Okay.
And then you're an expert.
Then I'm an expert. That is Sanskrit time with Mary. We learned about it.
So we're doing a series of these and we're not doing that again.
We're not? We got to do more of them. There's more poses for me to learn.
Yeah, okay.
You didn't like it?
It was okay.
It was a bad experience for you?
No, it's fine.
Okay. Why'd you say that then? Just to be a little sassy?
Yeah.
Was that sassy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got to learn. I didn't even learn child's pose.
Don't
tell me now. I'm fulled up.
Okay.
You just keep that one under your hat.
Mm-hmm.
There's like that one. There's a bunch of them.
There is a bunch. Yeah. At this point, like, who knows how many?
If I've thought of yoga. This is all the part where we're kind of sharing the beauty and wonder of Studio Truth. It's an easier word to say. Studio Satya. And they're on on Anderson Lane, kind of in between North Lamar, and like Burnett.
Yeah.
Closer to North Lamar.
Yeah.
A cool little studio. I've been in there. Man, it's so cool. It has like a nature vibe. There's like plants hanging from the ceiling. There's a lot of like toddler yoga, like with crawlers. What do you call that one?
Toddler and crawler.
Toddler and
Yeah.
crawlers. There's like
Toddler, yeah.
prenatal. So if you're pregnant, it's like all different stages of life.
Yeah.
Like if you're pregnant and you want to do yoga, there's someone that supports you there. If you have young kids and you want to do yoga, there's toddlers and crawlers, and they happen to get excited during the Shavasana, which is kind of cool. It invites you into acceptance during your like meditative death pose. There's also like a bunch of types of yoga, from activating and more. This is we're gonna talk about this with either another one of you, either Carly will talk to me about this, or Holly, or the next time we talk, but like the different types of yoga, whether it's yin, restorative, hatha, vinyasa, all of the different kinds. And like, I want them to know, and I want to know, well, how are they different? But you guys offer all of them.
Yes.
And you offer them darn near during every day part. You guys have them in the morning all the way into the evening, every day of the week, 7 days a week, which is pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like any day of the week, there's going to be an in-person and virtual yoga that folks can attend.
Yeah. And we're hoping to add more too, you know.
You are?
Yeah. Yeah, we don't really have 7:30, for instance, like PM classes, and students have said.
Let me help you with that pronunciation.
Yeah, help me.
Said.
It's
good.
Thanks.
Said.
Students have said. They want more evening classes. So even though it may feel like they're at every time of the day, there's room for growth there.
There's room for growth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you could take it online anywhere in the world, or you could take it here in Austin. It's a really cool experience I've had, and I'm excited to continue having, is showing up and filling that room with mats and having a cool experience. Anything else you want to share with people as you're kind of celebrating your studio?
I think you've said it all. Different types.
The location. Community.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's.
We're going to continue sharing aspects with everyone I talk to. And I'm even going to wear the gear. They've got the coolest merchandise. Their symbol is like, is it a lotus?
It's
flower?
like lotus petals.
Around, it's the coolest. Y'all's like branding is really cool. I love it. And the colors y'all chose. So there's that too. If you want to get styly, you can get studio
swag.
Swag off. I was supposed to wear some today, but I forgot. I also left my mat at the studio. I think it's there, or it's on the parking lot. I don't know where it is.
I'm sure it's there.
I imagine it's got my name on it. So, okay.
Do
you feel good about the improv part?
Yeah, that wasn't at all what I was expecting. I thought we were gonna like do something.
I do normally do something, but we filled that time with talking about something we did was improv for me. I don't know how Sanskrit.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sure, that works.
Kind of fun and play. We can do the improv part next time.
Okay.
Yeah, we play games like Meerkat. We're like, you're so expressive. Your nonverbal communication is it's kind of fear, but also like fun fear.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm feeling right now.
Meerkat is like
what is meerkat?
Meerkat is not the animal meerkat, it's mirror cat.
Oh,
mirror cat.
I thought we were okay.
Yeah, you thought we were gonna be like, I'm a meerkat. No, like it's like one person will move and the other one will mirror them.
Okay.
And then at a certain point, without communicating, they'll take the reins, and then it'll switch from mirror to.
And how long do you do this?
It's just I feel it.
Okay.
We feel it. Both people feel it as long as it's fun. I did improv for a long time. It was part of my kind of spiritual journey.
Carly does improv, or used to.
Boom.
So she'd be the perfect person for this meerkat situation.
Well, I plan to play improv games with all of y'all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do I get a vote?
You do get a vote. Okay. You can always opt out of these things.
Okay, awesome.
But yeah, Meerkat was one of them. The other is Sound Ball, where we like send a sound and a gesture back and forth.
Oh,
like
wow.
I send one to you, you mirror it, you do it, and you make the sound, and then you come up with your own one and you send it back to me.
That sounds fun. I might do that one.
It is fun. Okay. The other one is Convergence, where we say a word and we both say a word and we try to converge our word to be the same word, also known as mind meld.
Oh,
There's a handful
you
of
got a
them.
lot of them.
I got a lot of them.
Hmm.
There's a lot of them. And you know what? Improv is a mindful practice.
Yeah.
Being here now,
Yes.
taking in the other and letting them influence you and building a world together
Mm-hmm.
and breathing
Sold.
and being scared. You're scared. How many times have I gone up to the front of the improv line where I was going next, and instead of paying attention to the performance or the people playing in front of me, I was just thinking about what I was going to do.
Uh-huh.
And then I get to the front, and my practice is if I've done that, I got to throw that down. I got to put that aside and pull it from the dark void of my, my whatever, and come up with something new. Trust myself to go from nothing to something in a moment. How often we're improving life
That's true.
if we're doing it right.
Mm-hmm.
That's that Ram Dass, be here now,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.